Henry Cavill is one of the best Superman actors of all time, and I absolutely love Henry Cavill. So how is it that I can also be excited for the guy that's quite literally replacing him? How can I reconcile that in my, mind? It's difficult, I must tell you, because Henry Cavill was done wrong. He really was. We were told at Black Adam that we were going to be getting him back, and then he got to tell us that we were going to get him back, and now he's gone. So I'm going to tell you several reasons why I am actually pretty excited about the new Superman movie, in spite of the fact that I love Henry Cavill. The first reason would be that, guys, we're going to get an actual Clark Kent. We're finally going to get another Clark Kent actor that is portraying the role as Clark Kent. Not to knock Henry. Henry's a great actor. I think Henry could have done a wonderful Clark Kent, but he didn't get a chance to. Not only was Clark barely in the movies, but in the Snyderverse, but his Clark was basically just Superman with glasses. He wasn't even mild-mannered. Clark Kent is often described as a mild-mannered reporter. This Henry Cavill's Clark was just Superman in glasses. He was confident. He was strong. He's not a guy that you would look at and say, no, that's not Superman. He's a guy you would look at and say, why is Superman in glasses? And from what I can see, the trailers of the new movie, this Clark Kent is not so far on the other side that he's the bumbling oaf Christopher Reeve type, which a lot of people don't like, and I understand that. Personally, I do. But it doesn't seem like he's, completely different, but he's different enough that you would think that guy's not Superman. He talks, everybody's been saying he talks, he raises his voice. I don't really think that's what I'm seeing in these trailers. It seems like he talks kind of regular, but he does look, the way he's moving around and stuff in some of these trailers, he looks like he, in fact, kind of has a bit of a, ineptness about him, a calm demeanor, a humbleness, and I do like that. I like that a lot. Because you shouldn't be able to look at Superman and Clark and think the actor is acting as the same person. It should be two separate people. You don't want him to be a bumbling oaf, that's fine, but it should still be two separate people that you're dealing with. It's Clark Kent and Superman. It's not Superman with glasses. That's where you lose me, is whenever you're just being like, okay, well, he just puts his glasses on and then he doesn't change his demeanor and everything's, no, that makes no sense to me. Another reason I am very excited about this new movie, the kaiju. A lot of Snyder fans are saying that the kaiju looks stupid and all that. I don't care if a monster looks stupid. That doesn't really bother me. It's a monster, But this is the first time that we're getting to see a live-action Superman fight a dragon. This is like a kid's dream come true for me. He's literally fighting a dragon. And Henry Cavill's Superman is known for being very powerful, right? But we never really got to see that visually. He fought Zod, who's on his power level. He fought Steppenwolf. We didn't really know anything about Steppenwolf's power level, so whenever he finally fought him, and it looked kind of easy for him. We're like, oh, okay, it makes sense. He's Superman. He never fought anything that visually everybody can look at and say, oh, that should be a tough opponent. This is like a giant dragon, and it looks like a tough opponent. It looks like something that's going to be difficult for him. And I like that I can see that visually, and I don't have to be guessing how powerful is this guy? What can he lift? What can he do? I look at the dragon, I realize, okay, if his tail hits if it even has a tail, if it hits a building, it's going to fall down. I know he has that kind of power. Steppenwolf, I wasn't really sure where he was, until Superman finally beats him up with ease, and I was like, okay, I get it. Lois and Clark finally have chemistry again. I love Amy Adams. I love Henry Cavill. But when they were put together in Man of Steel, the character development for their relationship, I never really was buying it. I never really saw them together as a couple. They're both great actors, and it's not because, she doesn't have red hair, or she doesn't have black hair or something. She was in a movie with this, I can't remember what it was called, that it was like some Irish movie where she fell in love with a guy, and it worked out really well. He had a Superman look to him. And, that was before Man of Steel. So it has nothing to do with that. I think it really is just the direction. Zack Snyder, not knocking Zack, but he's not the best person in the world at character development. So I'm looking really forward to seeing, he said it's about 3 movies, James Gunn did, Lois, Lex, and Superman. and I'm really excited to see their characters delved out. So I mean, I liked Henry Cavill and Amy Adams, but since I had Christopher Reeve and Margot Kidder, I was able to see that they weren't matching up together as good as they could. So I'm hopeful that we have something like that again. Not that they'll be like Christopher Reeve and Margot Kidder, but have their own chemistry going that works really well. I'm very excited about that. And I'm also excited, a lot of people are going to knock this at first, but just listen to me. The introduction of characters that most people aren't familiar with. I know a lot of people, including myself, were worried that side characters may take up too much of the movie. All movies have side characters. They just don't usually have wings or magic power rings. I think it's going to be okay. I don't think the movie's going to be focused on them. I think they'll be there. I don't think we're going to get the backstories for everybody. I just think they're going to be side characters like you would have in any movie. You know, like Commissioner Gordon or something in Batman. They're just there, and they have a purpose, and they're going to be there. James Gunn is actually pretty good at taking characters that no one knew about and no one cared about and turning them into something people like watching, like he did with Peacemaker or he did with Guardians of the Galaxy. People even were like giving him a hard time that, you know, nobody wanted to see a talking raccoon. I think on Rotten Tomatoes that movie's at like 90-something% for audience and for critics, and it just did really well. It made, I don't know, close to like 800 billion or million or something like that, 800 million. It did really well. He's good at this kind of thing. I've told y'all before on this channel, I'm not like a director guy. I don't have like directors that I like more than the other. I don't get caught up in that. I don't care. I'm a Superman guy. And that affects my desire to see certain movies. Like I didn't watch a bunch of the Marvel movies because I'm like, Superman's not in it, so I don't want to. I know they're good. I saw many of them, but not all of them. But I just prefer to see Superman. I don't really care who does it, who's acting, who's in charge. I just want it to be done well. And since he's so good at doing all these side characters, I'm not too concerned about them taking up the movie. I'm actually quite happy that we're getting characters like Guy Gardner on live action, and I'm really excited. I'm excited for that kind of stuff. I have to word this carefully. I'm a Henry Cavill fan, guys. I loved Man of Steel. I like the Snyderverse, but I'm happy for a bright Superman. Let me explain what I mean. Okay. I have no problem at all with Superman being in a dark, gritty world. No problem at all with that. Our world is dark and gritty. All you got to do is flip on the news and it's pretty obvious. But Superman himself should not be dark and gritty. I do not like having a side of Superman that we're afraid that he may just pop off and kill us all. I don't like having this version of Superman that is almost, affected by the darkness in the world. It's kind of like in Batman versus Superman. Henry Cavill starts to take off and says, "No one stays good in this world." And I'm like, oh, no. You're supposed to be brightening everything else up. You're not supposed to be being brought down. Now, those of you that are, huge Snyderverse fans and all that, I need you to know, guys, I have a problem with every single Superman movie that's ever existed. So these problems aren't me knocking it because I'm like anti-Snyderverse. That's not at all what it is. It's that I'm able to look at things from a Superman fan's perspective and say, I like that, I don't like that, I like that, I don't like that, and weigh it and decide whether or not the overall project was enjoyable. I've enjoyed every Superman movie that has been. I have problems with them all too. So the brightness, I need to see that even if the world is gritty, he's the brightness that shines through. And I never really got that with the Henry Cavill Superman. Not that he wasn't doing a good job as Superman, just that they were really writing it so that you didn't know if he was going to go bad or not. And I don't like that. I don't like that at all. This is a big one for me. No one else probably care. Jimmy Olsen. Jimmy Olsen is a fantastic character in Superman. The relationship between Clark and Jimmy is awesome. And if you don't have that relationship done right or even not there at all, it's missing something. You don't necessarily have to have the watch or whatever, but I do like the back and forth. I like that Jimmy often looks up to Clark, or he thinks Clark's fun or cool or whatever the case may be. I like that Jimmy has a relationship with Superman himself. I really think that back and forth could be a big plus for this movie, and we've only gotten a little bit like in promotional ads of their back and forth, but it looks pretty good. I'm pretty excited about that. And I like that this James Gunn's movie, that they all kind of do this, but it's respecting all other Superman movies. We have shots that look like Snyder shots. We have stuff like Superman in handcuffs. We have shots and stuff that make us think of the Christopher Reeve Superman, like Clark looking up from his desk, looking all like mild mannered, whatever you want to call it, reporter. We have stuff in here that lets me know that James Gunn is doing his best, including his Superman Day celebration thing they put out, that he is doing his best to stay core to the canon. And I'm very excited about that he's respecting all Supermans. That's very cool. And I heard there was like a joke or something early in the beginning that people were going to be making fun of the movie. That's probably being taken the wrong way. I'm sure there's going to be jokes about a lot of stuff about Superman. I even saw one part where she was saying, how does people are going to figure out you're Superman? And he was like, well, the glasses. They're knocking it, but in a fun way. I like that a lot. I'm excited about Lex. Nicholas Holt's a great actor. Been watching him since he was a kid. And I haven't seen him in a ton of stuff, but I've seen him in enough stuff over the years that every time I see him, I think, oh, okay, that kid does a good job. Of course, now he's not a kid anymore. But I think he's going to do a great job. What I've seen in the trailers shows me that he's taking it very seriously. And one of the things I'm really excited about, this dude said that he grew up watching Michael Rosenbaum's Lex Luthor as a kid, and that's like one of his main inspirations. Can you imagine Henry Cavill, his Superman, with Michael Rosenbaum's Lex Luthor? Oh man, that would be perfection. And speaking of perfection, there's something that we all have to realize. No Superman movie has ever been perfect. The only way for me to get a perfect Superman movie is for me to somehow raise $300 million and make my own Superman movie. But then it would only be perfect to me. James Gunn's Superman is only going to be perfect to him, Zack Snyder's to him, Richard Donner, and so forth and so on. The only way for us to help Superman to continue along is to just kind of open our hearts a little bit and say, what have they done with this? That's why I like Zack Snyder. I could have closed it and been like, no, Reeve is the best, and a lot of people did that, and it hurt Zack Snyder and Henry Cavill's Superman. We don't need to do that with this thing. We've got to be excited about Superman continuing. And, I mean, honestly, that's kind of one of my last points is why am I excited as a Henry Cavill fan? Guys, it's more Superman. Henry Cavill is not the Superman. He's one of these Supermen. And we are going to have a bunch more of them. And it's going to keep going and going for decades and decades, hopefully centuries. We'll see how that works out, not sure. And you've just got to be more for the Superman character than you are for the actors, because the actors stop. They get too old. They get hurt. Stuff happens to them. You've got to let go at some point. And a lot of this boils down to the rational side of your brain versus the emotional side of your brain. And I think a lot of people, especially Snyder fans, when it comes to this new movie, they're thinking with the emotional side, and they're saying things that I have yet to been able to figure out, like CW graphics. What are you talking about? It looks fantastic. It looks so good. Like, I have no idea why people are saying that the CGI looks bad, especially when they're comparing it to Man of Steel, because Man of Steel, I came out of the theaters thinking, that didn't look as good as I was hoping it would. And, I mean, Brandon Routh's Superman Returns, there was scenes in there that looked way better than anything in Man of Steel. So I was very disappointed at that when I came out of the theater. But I love Henry Cavill, and I am able to be excited about this new movie, and I've tried to understand other people's hate. I'm still working on it. I want to understand the hate. If you want to watch me understanding that hate, check out this video right here. I'm really trying to figure it out, guys.